Marc Guehi looks like he's going to become a Liverpool player. And I was saying that Liverpool must buy this player. It's the most nailed on transfer. It's the most obvious signing for Liverpool to make right now. Yes, Alexander Isak is rumbling on and they got to try and get him as well. But they need defenders. And let's be honest, man. If Liverpool get this deal sold up, which it looks like it will, reports are saying that they've agreed personal terms already, £35 million. That's going to be one of the signings of the summer. That's going to be an absolute one of the bargains of the summer. He's only just turned 25 in July. He's already a Premier League captain. He's already in the England squad and experienced. So you see what happened in the last Euros of how well he played there. And they're getting a top player who was going last year for 60, 65 million. Newcastle United getting turned down left, right and centre by Palace last year about 3 or 4 times over. Fast forward a year and it's more than half off his price tag. Liverpool, for all the business they've done spending big money with Ekatike and on Verts, you look at the money they've spent on like someone like Frimpong and now the money they're about to spend on Marc Guehi. Kirkes was a modest, 40 million. But Frimpong, especially Guehi, Premier League ready, like I said, a leader already. So you put him alongside the likes of Kanate, the likes of Van Dijk. He knows all about this league. That's a top signing. Absolute bargain. Proper bargain, that is. So, yeah, I think you talk about some of the big money moves that Liverpool have made and are trying to make with Verts, with Ekatike, big P's, and what it's going to take to get Alexander Isak out of Newcastle United. Obviously, it's massive money. But they also show that on the other side of it, they're able to do deals like this. They're able to do deals that make sense. They're able to do deals that represent a lot of value of money. And Marc Guehi represents that. If you think how he fits in, he plays left centre back, but he's adaptable enough to play alongside Van Dijk at right centre back. He can take Konate's spot. He does play in a three, but he's perfectly capable of playing in a two. I think Marc Guehi's very good at that. He's the right character. You look at how Isak is trying to force his way out of Newcastle. One thing about Marc Guehi is you cannot say that about him. He's a calm, cool, collected, respectful guy, God-fearing man. He's definitely the right person to have in the dressing room at Liverpool with what you're trying to build. And if you look at what happened last season when he was, like I say, subject to, I'm going to say 4 bids. I think it was 4 bids. I was doing Sky at the time. And we was reporting on it every day. I think it was 4 times. And I remember thinking, why don't Newcastle just pay what Palace are on? You know what I mean? Why not? Why are you not just paying the money? Like, Palace ain't gonna accept anything less. Look at what happened with Elise. Made him sign a new deal and he went for 50 million. So if anyone wants Eze, which the likes of Spurs do, you're gonna have to pay top dollar. Steve Parish and Crystal Palace are hard bargainers, especially now they've just been wronged or by their own doing with the whole Conference Europa League thing. They ain't gonna let people go on the cheap. But Marc Guehi is not signing a new contract, and he's in the last year of his contract. But he hasn't made a sound. He's continued to lead the team, and not only lead the team. If you look at it from a Palace perspective, all right, cool. They could have had 60 odd million last year, but they kept his services, and he captained them to their first ever trophy in the history of the football club. Then he stays long enough to play in the Charity Shield, and beats Liverpool, ironically, to win the Charity Shield. So they've won 2 trophies. I know people don't always count the Charity Shield, but no disrespect, I think when you're someone like Palace who haven't won a trophy ever in their history, and then you go from winning nothing ever to winning the FA Cup and then going on to win the Charity Shield, you count that Charity Shield for them. So they've won 2 trophies in quick succession under Glasner, and with Marc Guehi as the leader. Do you know what I'm saying? And let's be real, if you're talking about turning down money, you say, what is it worth? If you're Palace, you go, what is it worth turning down 60, 65 million? What's that going to get us? Well, what it did do was essentially, I know they didn't get their ducks in order, but it got them Europa League football and their first ever trophy. Is that worth, and now they're still going to get 35 million from him. So is that worth 30 million? Winning your first ever trophy and getting European football. It should have been Europa League, but you got to blame the decision makers at the club for not making sure your I's were dotted and your T's were crossed. That's just how it goes. But you have got Conference League football, which, may I add, let's be honest, Palace will be right up there as favourites to win that Conference League. Do you know what I'm saying? If Palace had the run that Chelsea had And then in the end, you have to play bloody... Who'd they play? They played Betis in the final. That would probably be Palace's hardest game, which that would be an even game. But, you know, I don't know who's going to stay out, you know, Sarr, Mateta and Eze, but we're a front line of that, and you keep Wharton in there, and you still got Munoz, you still got Tariq Mitchell, you got Richards and Lacroix, you're going to have to replace Guehi, but you got 35 million to do so. I think they've got every chance of winning the Conference League. So big up to Palace. I don't think they're losers in this. I think they're massive winners in this as well. Could have got double the money last year, but look what they've gone on to achieve as a fan base, as a football club. And for Liverpool, my gosh, that is great business. Top level centre half, can fit straight in. You know, it fills the void because listen, they're trying to get Alexander Isak, and rightly so. But let's have it right. They have to sign defenders. Probably two. When I looked at Liverpool's bench the other day, they had no centre backs on there. Joe Gomez injured, can't be relied upon. Let's be honest, they probably need to sell Joe Gomez. Jarell Quansah is gone. Tsimikas is leaving. Not that he's a left back anyway. Robertson spent a little bit of time there, can fill in there, but not a long-term solution. Endo can play there, not a long-term solution. I think even Granberg can play there here or there, but they're not proper solutions. You can't expect Konate and Van Dijk, as good as they are, to play every single game in a 50-plus season, which I think Liverpool will easily achieve because they're going to go deep into all the competitions they're in. This is Liverpool we're talking about. So they have to sign him, and not are they only signing someone that you can just warm the bench for the main two. He can be the main guy. Konate gets a lot of injuries. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you can manage that now. The only thing I would say from Marc Guehi's perspective is if he stays at Crystal Palace, he'll play every game, will be the captain 90 minutes every game. He'll 1,000,000% be on a plane for the Euros with Thomas Tuchel. If he goes to Liverpool, does he play enough games? Like, Van Dijk's going to play all the time. He's Liverpool captain. But does he get enough game time? Does he get enough starts ahead of Konate? Does he walk in? Liverpool fans, does he walk in and start ahead of Konate? Konate is in a similar situation where he hasn't signed a new deal. Now, it wouldn't make any sense to be selling Konate now because, you know, one, he's a top centre half, and two, you're going to be left with the same position where he needs replacing. So, how important is it that you lock Konate down? I think it's very important that Konate signs a new deal if he wants to. I think you offer him what he needs to be offered, and you keep him. And you've got Guehi. But back to my original question, will Guehi play enough minutes? That's the only thing he has to consider by speaking to Arne Slot and understand, is he just going to be on the bench for most of the games? Because Konate and Van Dijk start most of the games. Do you know what I'm saying? But there is going to be injuries. But I think Guehi's too good to be just waiting for there to be an injury. He needs some assurances that he's going to play. Liverpool fans, how do you feel about that? Is it you don't care, worry about that afterwards? Just get him in, not your problem, whether he goes to the Euros or not. You care about Liverpool, I get it. So whichever way you look at it, Liverpool are stronger with Marc Guehi as an option as a starter or off the bench. So yeah, big up to Liverpool getting that done. Absolute steal. 35 million, terms agreed. He will be a Liverpool player. Can't see how he can't be from now. Take care. Smash a like on the video. Peace.